to Americana Quill, writer to writer. Please like and subscribe and tell a friend that likes to scribe. This week, my guest is a writer of music. He's a musical artist that has released 4 albums, and his latest album, Power, Resilience, and Joy, can be found on all major digital streaming platforms. I want to welcome River Nelson.
Yes,
What's
sir.
going on?
Yes, sir. I'm chilling, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Nah, thank you for coming. Being a new podcast is hard to get guests, so I appreciate anyone that says sure. They'll love to come on. So thank you for that.
Man. No, I appreciate it, man. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna grab my water right here. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, again, man, I appreciate you having me on, man. I love talking about art, man, and chopping it up, about that topic, so.
I designed this podcast because I think there's so many different forms of writing that's important that gets overlooked because you only think of the end and medium. You don't think of the starting process of like building out the skeleton, which is probably writing for most things. Like film, you got to screenwrite first before you see what's, through that medium.
Yeah.
So, and I think the same goes for music. So I love having different guests at different mediums that have to deal with writing. So I'm glad you were able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess my first question is, does writing usually energize you or does it exhaust you because you feel like you put so much into it?
No, man, it energizes me. Even before I even get to it, the anticipation or just the excitement, I get really excited when I know that there's a chunk of time for me just to write.
Oh, wow.
Right.
That makes sense.
There's some times where, and this happens a lot, like I'll know, like the following day I'll have a lot of time to write, and it's to the point where I can hardly sleep, the night before, because I know in the morning time I don't have, I can just write and record. So
right, it's all for your passion at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's beautiful. So when doing some research, I found out that your first deal was with Arista. So how did it feel to get that moment, I guess, of what I think every musician probably dreams about getting possibly that $1 million. I don't know how much it was, obviously, but like the idea is like, if I get $1 million out of a deal, I'll be straight. So like, how was that initial feeling of like saying I signed to a major?
That's a great question, man. Well, at the time, I was 21 years old, and I can, I really articulated the feeling years after, but as it was happening in the moment, it was really not expected. We planned for it. I remember the group that I was in that got signed, we were in college a year prior talking about this stuff. Like, we were working on demos and we were so naive. We had this audacity, like it was going to happen. Like, so we put
spoke it to existence. You didn't, it wasn't naive. You spoke it to existence.
Yeah. So when it happened and our friends got on first, and they helped us get on. So when we got on, it was almost like, okay, the game plan is going
according to plan.
It felt good. It felt good according to plan. So that was one side. But then the other feeling, and this probably came a little bit after, when I was meeting big executives and they were talking about money and all these plans that they had for us. And that was the first time I really realized that, man, ideas that I put together in my bedroom can really spark a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It could really spark a lot. Just these ideas, and I'm, I ain't no genius or no artistic savant or anything. I'm a person who had some ideas and worked them, and
right.
It was real, my dreams were realized on some level. So that was the first time I realized that, I had the power to do that.
Right. So did the group break up if that's the reason why that situation dissolved? It was like an A&R issue? Because I feel like a lot of artists might get signed, but then it's like a waiting game, but depending on who the A&R is, if they got an ear that the label trusts. So like, what kept it? You probably moved on to like other avenues. Like, I don't know if you actually released an album on Arista or not. I guess what I'm asking.
No, we did not. It's a kind of a sad story, but not sad because it was, I learned a lot from it, but basically our manager stole pretty much all of the money that Arista allocated to us to turn in 3 singles. All right. So we didn't know he was supposed to be paying the studio people for us, to make these 3 singles that Arista wanted before they okayed the rest of the album, right? So he was doing that at first. So we were working on the 3 singles. And then we called the studio one day, and then like my manager said, y'all can't come in because your manager didn't pay her. So we tried to get in contact with him. He was out of town. He was nowhere to be found. Da 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 da. Long story short, we had to go back to our original means to make this demo, which was, just, our friends
Scrapping.
and scrapping, our people at the studio and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we did that. So half of the demo was real slick sounding. Half of the demo was, really demo sounding. Joy Bailey, who ran the, they called it the Department of Black Music back then, wasn't as thrilled about those songs as she was about the demo that got assigned. She gave those songs to Clyde Davis. No, she actually put us back in the studio. I'm telling a long story, but put us
with
back in the studio.
With a new budget or without a budget? Like, y'all better figure it out.
She paid for one more song. We told her what happened, and this is the thing. When we had to turn in those songs, here comes our manager, walking in like everything is good. Like, oh, yo, blah, 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 blah. And we telling her, like, yo, this dude, we ain't seen this dude just through this whole process. And she's like, yeah, y'all got to work that out. We paid for 3 songs. So she was like, all right, I'll do this. I'll send y'all back in there to do one more joint. I think we had like 2 days to do it. We turned that in. And then after we turned that in, just the energy, just the excitement around us just kind of.
Right. It was like they could have shelf shot, but instead they let y'all move on, I guess.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And phone calls just stopped and da-da-da-da-da. Nothing was happening. And they let us go, which we, at that point, we was cool with, Well, he wasn't cool with, but, it doesn't look like anything was going to happen.
Do you know where that manager is now? Is he still scamming people out of money, or is he not really where he thought he would be because of this? You feel like it got back to him karma?
I don't know. I mean, he's kind of a known dude. I don't want to start nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so, I got you.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll say this. I'll say this, that he was a prominent guy in like the real old school hip hop scene, BX hip hop scene, Grandmaster Flash, da-da-da-da. He comes from that era. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I seen him do stuff out after us, and I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It was.
Did you guys ever have closure, at least, of him conversing like, y'all, listen?
Yeah, I mean, I conversed with him. My partner was done with him. You know what I'm saying? I conversed with him, and he was basically, he justified it like we owed him money. That was the money he needed to recoup for giving us a little bit of, which is bullshit, because he was giving us money to take the train, get pizza.
That's $40 if anything.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. So he justified that.
It's sad that he couldn't even see y'all get your whole album out and then see, all right, let's break up, let's see where this bread lies for me and the rest of y'all after the project was actually done, and making sure y'all was really on the right footing. Just taking it at the first opportunity, I think is kind of whack. And I'm sorry that it happened like that, but I think it probably led you to better things. At least you go independent is what it seems like from a lot of your other catalogs. So I actually wrote down some of your album titles, and I was wondering where they all came from. So the first one I wrote was The Rise and Fall of River Nelson. So what was that title for you?
Yeah, so that title is basically about the process of me trying to grow and be a better person all around. And in that process, there's a rise and there's a fall every day. Right. So that title is just basically a description of the process of trying to grow personally, as a person, as an artist, as a mate, as a friend, as a family member, all of those things. Right.
And with that, what was your mental state, I assume, as well? Is just the rise and fall of trying to figure things out as an artist?
Yeah, well, it's just documentation, right? Because we all hope, I'm excited about the process of, again, trying to grow in each way, as opposed to staying stagnant. Artistically, I want to know more tomorrow than I did today. I want to be able to write better tomorrow than I did today. I want to be closer to God tomorrow, closer than I am today. All of those things. So that process is a lot of wins and failures.
And what was your writing process at the time? Was it like pen to paper, where you like kind of like, I guess, putting in lines here and there and then filling them in like a lot of people do now, is like punching in and out, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the time, I had some songs that I had in mind, some, I guess, concepts I wanted to
Dive into?
unravel. Yeah, dive into. So I had a framework going in. So I would, frame the songs around those particular concepts. I would say I did that for like half of the album, and then the other half, I would say, inspired by the track. This track make me feel this way, or I
Right.
see this when I'm listening to the track, and I try to capture it.
And you had a main producer on that album, right? From the UK, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Lewis Parker, he produced the first two albums. So Lewis Parker, I would say, is the equivalent of what DJ Premier is here in the UK.
Mm.
In terms of, he's one of the main dudes who.
Yeah, there's a deep reverence for him out there. Yeah.
Yeah, son. I mean, as far as that boom bap, hip hop, real gritty hip hop sound, he's one of the, almost I would say, the pioneers of that sound out there.
And they call that grime out there, right? If I'm not mistaken, or similar to it.
Grime is actually different. Grime is more of a UK born thing, where Lewis, he was really making American hip hop music, but because he's British,
Right. They put him in that category. I got
they put him in that category, and and he was really doing it, because hip hop isn't as popular in the UK as it is out here, because they have grime and they have all these other things, but it's more niche. But he really pushed it forward over there.
So tell me a little bit of The Shape of the Sky, because that was I love that title. What was that more about?
Thanks, man. That's just like endless possibility. All right. If you think of the sky, there's really no shape or no, there's no shape, there's no form.
It's just matter out there. Yeah.
It's just matter. It's just matter. So, I really wanted to go into this concept of being limitless, and being formless, not bound by rules, not bound by my past or
societal structures, I assume.
Societal structures, or even my own understanding. You know what I'm saying? It's a popular, I think it's a proverb in the Bible that says, "Don't lean on your own understanding." All right.
Yeah.
It's good to understand things, but when you lean on your own understanding,
where you can't take in more information. Yeah.
That makes sense. And if you're leaning on something, you got to make sure that joint is solid, or you're gonna topple over. So, yeah.
So with The Shape of the Sky, is that also because of the success of the rise and the fall of River Nelson that made you say that? Like, possibilities might be endless at this point, because I found a way through my rough musical conduit, I guess, from the beginning of not being signed to like figuring it out on your own. Because when that album released, it was still very hard to be an independent person. It wasn't like a download here kind of thing at that time. So to me, I found that even more intriguing and interesting, that you were able to persevere through and then see success, where it's like, oh, I made enough money to do it again. Like, that's the hard part. I think people don't understand, whether it's releasing a book or anything else. I recouped somewhat. I can do it again. Thank you, God. I can do it again. Like,
that's real, man. That's real. And you hit it right on the head. That's what, because I would say, several years between the Arista situation and the Rise and Fall, several years, and me just playing in New York underground clubs and being in that scene, and just any festival I could play in the 5 boroughs, I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere that was. But the Rise and Fall was the first time, and Lewis's name and what he's accomplished out there certainly had something to do with that. It was the first time that people really knew, cared about what I was putting out, and media cared, and so that was dope. Yeah, so you're right. Shape of the Sky was that. It was, wow, look at that, man. Like, I'm over here in the UK, this scene is really digging what I'm doing.
Did you get to do a tour off the album in the UK because of it?
Yeah, we played shows. I wouldn't say a full-on tour, but I was out there when the year the Rise and Fall came out. I was in the UK 6 times that one year.
Wow, right? That's a lot for a US artist to go overseas to collect those bags. So that's saying something.
Yeah, man, it was dope. And then I lived over there for a couple of months. The people, my team out there was telling me, yo, you need to really just come out here.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, man. So I rented a little spot out there. I stayed for a couple of months and worked with some producers out there, did some interviews, stayed in touch with radio, did some shows out there. Yeah, so it was dope.
No, that's beautiful. And How to Dream came, about 2 years after The Shape of the Sky, if I'm not mistaken?
How to Dream is 2016. So that came, about 2 years about Shape of the Sky. And that was my first record album without Lewis, right?
How was that? I guess having your guy, right, that you feel comfortable with, a beautiful synergy that got you to a certain level, and now you're doing it without him, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, it was exciting. I was excited about the challenge of it, because he taught me a lot too. Like working with Lewis in those 2 albums, I learned a lot about the recording process. I knew a lot before because I was doing it several years before I even met Lewis. But then when I met him, he was more advanced than me, to be honest with you, just on the technical things you do in the studio.
Right.
So I was able to bring that into the How to Dream project, and that was really me, man. Like I arranged that album. I didn't produce it, but I arranged it. I did everything on that album,
So you were kind of like the Quincy Jones of your own album, of like when he did Thriller, of like playing the boards a little bit, but not necessarily making the beats and things of that nature, I guess.
Yeah, like arranging, like
bridge here, hook here, verses here.
Yeah, I always do that. I always do that with lyrically. So I always, from the beginning, I've always arranged lyrically. But what I started doing, I would say, really, really on the How to Dream album is.
Or tell them how you want the beat. Like, hey, I need this here.
But when they send the beat, I may hear something in the beat that may not go for the verses, but may go for the hook. So I may copy and paste this, put it here, copy and paste the end,
right.
put it here, and arrange it. So when I hear it back, it's kind of the same track, but it's just sequenced differently.
No, absolutely. So how did you feel when that was completed and released to the public? Did you like the reception you got?
Yeah, I did. BBC in London, they made that the album of the day, which is which was dope. Yeah, the album of the day in September of 2016. I want to say a day after Labor Day or on Labor Day or something like that of that year, which was really dope. The single More Out There got a lot of spin. It was dope, man. It was a really, one of the reviewers out there on the BBC, when they announced the album of the day, they said it was a beautiful album. And that, see, to me, if anybody said to me a project is beautiful, that's better to me if somebody says it's dope or it's hot,
Right. Because they're listening to it with a different ear. It's a more of a collected ear than just your average. Or they might not even be a fan of the genre, but like for them to say it's beautiful means it had their soul, it penetrated other sparts.
You hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head, because that's my goal. Like I try to make hip hop albums for hip hop heads. People who like lyrics and all the stuff we grew up with, right?
Right.
But then I also want to get to people who may not be hip hop fans and who may be casual hip hop fans, or whatever, I want to, like try to get them too.
No, of course. Music should be shared, right? Even if you don't love it all, maybe there's something for you within someone's album. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah, man.
And then there's one album that I've been listening to a lot, especially this one song, Japanese Proverbs, Power, Resilience, and Joy. Yeah. So tell me about that writing process and how that came about, I guess. And this was about 3 years after How to Dream.
Yep, that one came out in 2019. That was one of the last records I wrote on that, and that is a track produced by Orlando Lord in
Oh
Florida.
wow.
He
Okay.
freaked that track. Yes,
Wow. That's amazing.
yeah. And see, and that's another one of those tracks where he just played because he's a musician. He plays all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
he's found out a way to play things digitally and use his musicianship, merge that with technology and still churn out some dope stuff.
No, it
So
sounded like he was actually like someone was actually in the room playing it before you stepped in there to do your
that's
thing.
old.
So that's
That's old,
amazing.
man. Yeah, he's figured
Yeah.
out how to do that, and it sounds, I mean, he's a musician, so but that's one of those things where I arranged too. He played that. He just played a whole bunch of I was just like, yo, just go
Go
nuts and just
crazy and
play
I'll
a
figure
bunch
it
of
out.
stuff, and I'll figure
Right.
it out. So I took this, I took that, I took this, I took that,
Hmm.
and it came out well. But the writing process was man, that took me a while to finish the song. I remember I had to stay in that for a little while.
It sounds like it because like you didn't skip a word, right? Every word
Yeah.
had true intentions where
Mm.
you never fell off the beat, but I can tell you took a moment to make sure you stayed on beat because you made sure you wanted
Yeah.
every word you wanted to write to be there. It wasn't like let me make sure it hits on this fourth measure. It's like, nope, if I have to skip part of the beat to get the rest of the words out, I'm going to do that kind of thing's how I
Yeah.
felt.
That's real.
So I thought that was amazing that you don't see that in artists these days. They'll if it don't hit the beat right, they'll cut it up and figure it out just to make it sound cool. Where it's like you didn't sacrifice a word, and that's what made me more impressed with the song
Thanks,
personally.
man. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, man.
No, it's true, man. Like
Appreciate that, man.
just from a writer, I know that's not easy to like when you really care about that part of your craftsmanship. Sacrificing a word or a sentence just to make something sound cool don't mean a lot if it don't resonate with you still too, right? So for you
I wouldn't
to
suggest it. Yeah.
for you to do that and me to be able to understand that, I thought I appreciated that moment because of that. So
Man, that means a lot, man. I appreciate that, man.
no,
Because
absolutely.
I'm sure you know this as a writer. You never know what people are gonna pick up, or if they're gonna pick it up. So
Right.
anytime you hear somebody pick up a detail or something like that, or it feels good.
Yeah, and a lot of sometimes in the book, I purposely write something that you might think is about the character, but it's really for me to know that I wrote some of me inside of it, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I got a lot of that within that one song of yours in the Japanese Proverb. So I was like, although a lot of it might be for everyone, I know there's certain things that's probably a core message just for you to remind yourself about things, you know?
Absolutely, man.
So like, I don't think a lot of people realize how it's not the easiest thing to pull off where you make it feel like it's part of something, but it's really for you. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure you know exactly what that's like, and
yeah. I just hope I'm articulated it well for the audience because it's hard to explain that. Those choices you make creatively, right? It's like it's hard to explain it to everyone, but those that are creatives, I believe, will get it.
Yeah, no, I think you did a great job articulating it. You said something about it's not worth it if you just try to get a line in there or get a word in there just to complete it or just to have it fall on beat or in writing to finish a page or finish that last sentence of dialogue. It's not worth it. In my opinion, a big part of art and writing is patience. All right, it's patience and not necessarily writing with the end goal in mind, like being in the moment and capturing what you can grab in the moment, and being fine if nothing comes.
Right.
There's artists. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
No, I'm gonna say it's important. I think for artists and writers just to be happy with the download you get and execute that to your fullest ability. Don't think because you're frustrated in that moment. If you had a download of an idea, work on the idea until you feel like it's executed. It's not about how long it takes.
No, yeah, exactly. Because you look, there's an artist named David Lynch. He's a filmmaker. He makes films. He does all kind of art. He's a real interesting dude. I heard him put it best about the creative process. He was like, if you don't come up with anything, it's similar to not catching something when you fish. He was like, your only job as an artist or a fisherman, as he was saying, is to bait the hook. Well, first of all, go to the water, get in the boat, bait the hook, drop your line in the water.
Right.
That's your responsibility.
See what comes. Yeah.
See what comes. If you get a bite, if you get an idea, great. If you don't, it means nothing except go back the next day and fish.
Right.
That's it. And that's the way I look at it. And once I start looking at things like that, I can write with patience. It's not like, gosh, man, when I sit down today, because I sit down every day, right? So, when I sit down today, God, I got to complete this. I want to, and I try to, but I'm fine if I don't. I'm fine if I don't.
Right. It's like, for me, writing is more of like, the creative part is like the ideas, and then after that is just the 9 to 5 part of it, just executing it to put it on pen to paper. That's all.
That's crazy, son. That's beautiful.
Yeah, but once you get the initial idea, it's like that's the fun part, right? Is at least for me when I'm writing a book, if I know my beginning and end, the fun is finding the maze through the middle to get all those points to make sense, right? And I figure it's probably the same for you. Like if you got a cool 4 bars in your beginning of a verse, the rest of it will fall into place. It's just those first 4 bars is probably the hardest to deal with.
Idea,
right?
First idea, and your writing process. How do you come up with that base idea? Is it something that just?
I want to say it's like God of the universe. I get downloads of certain concepts, and then from there I'll flush them out. Now that I've written so much just off of like sheer will of thoughts, it's like now I might write them out on index cards now a little bit more, but like it's still just coming from an initial download of something. Like a spark of a conversation can give me a download of a character, and I'll make a whole story about this particular character, and then just go through it with the character and just figure it out. But it's never too hard of getting the concept. It's finding the time to conceptualize it to its maximum capability for me.
Yeah.
And that's what lets me know I feel like I'm destined to like be a writer, is because the ideas don't come hard for me. It's more about, or taking the time to write, because I don't mind sitting down to do the work. I think a lot of people want to call themselves creatives, but they don't want to do the work. They just have good ideas. A lot of people got ideas. It's the part that makes you creative is sitting your ass down to get it done. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I couldn't put it better myself.
that's just how I feel about it, because it's like a lot of people.
Real. That's real. Mad people got ideas. You will hear. You walk up to 100 people, 90 of them, like you said, will have an idea, but flushing it out, working it.
Or a lot of people say, "Hey, I got a story for you." All right, well, how about you write the story? Let me read it, and I'll let you know if it works for me. Because a lot of people want you to tell them their story. It's like, but that's a service, and I could do it. But more of, you're not going to tell me a whole story because you don't know what it takes, and I know you don't, because you think you give me a page, I'm going to be able to articulate 500 pages, and if you want, that's me giving you my own IP. So it's like you gotta pay for that.
That's real. And I don't think a lot of people, kind of understand that, because you have to know what the process is.
It seems easy because I do it at such a prolific pace, right? So I can see why people might think it's easy, but it's no. There's days where I'm slamming my damn head across my laptop to try to get it out.
It's real. It's real, man. It's real.
So that's definitely something that I don't think a lot of people that don't write don't necessarily always get, but it's not. They just see the end product, right? They don't see the hours you put in for you to release 7 books in 7 years and then have 7 slated for next year, which I do, right? It's like that's time consuming. That's been mapped out for years. This thing, it wasn't just because you see it all come out around the same time doesn't mean it all came out that year before. You know what I'm saying?
They have no idea. There's a novel I finished. I'm a novel junkie, right? I love fiction. So I banged out one. Yeah, you look okay, so we can do that on the next podcast if you want. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I love fiction, but there's this book, The Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, Brazilian writer. And the book is so ill, man. I mean, it took him 10 years to write it. Like after writing it and researching it, that I was so impressed because that brother stayed with it 10 years to write that book, man. And that's just, an example of that patience we were talking about.
Absolutely. It's a marathon in the game of writing. No matter what, if you're trying to write something that's going to last, it's a marathon. It ain't a sprint. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, time doesn't really have much to do with it. I mean, it really doesn't, man. I mean, you can't force ideas, you know.
No, you can't. And even if the idea comes to you, if you can't get to it, I suggest just writing it down. So when you do have a moment, if it still sparks with you, you'll get to it.
Yeah, for real, man. For real, you know.
So what are some of the latest books that you've read, I guess?
So this is the one I'm reading now. This is a book by a guy named Jonathan Evison. I think I pronounced his last name right. Evison.
Okay. All about Lulu?
All about Lulu. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason I'm reading, this is the book I'm reading now. I read this book. The book before last, I read this. This is his first book. This is not his first book.
Oh, Lawn Boy. Interesting.
Yeah, Lawn Boy. This is the first book I read from him. And this is what made me really love his style. He is a white dude from the West Coast, and this book is about those long hair, you may see Latin people doing long hair, corporations or people's yards, teams of like landscapers and stuff.
Yeah.
He wrote the novel around a Mexican dude who worked in one of those landscaping companies, primarily for rich people on the West Coast, and what his experience was as this Mexican dude living that life, and how he was treated, and how he had his own ambitions because he was really passionate about lawn care, but he didn't like being treated like
some type of way. Right.
Yeah. So it was his struggle, his realizing his dreams and lawn care. It was dope. And so this is his first book, all about Lulu. So I started reading it. I was so impressed with that. I started reading this.
And how do you feel about the Lulu book so far?
So far, it's dope. It's just about a little kid. My favorite types of novels, and I would say this about maybe films too, is like coming of age.
Same. That's what I read originally. Is like The Dream of the Boy Who Called 22 is a coming of age story, and a few of my books are coming of age. So
yeah,
it's just something about catching those lessons again as an adult that you probably didn't forget, but it's like they're good, friendly reminders. Like, all right, yeah, that's a good refresher.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and he does a good job of writing about that period between childhood and adulthood. You know,
yeah.
When you start realizing some things, you start putting some things together.
Right. I think that's why I love A Bronx Tale, the movie. It's like that's such a great coming of age, you know what I mean? Yeah. Classic. And so books like that, like they always grab me first. Absolutely.
No, me too, man. Me too. So that's Jonathan Evison. Before Lulu, I read this. This is An American Marriage. This is by Sister Tayari Jones.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my mother recommended this. It was good. It was good. The story's a little sad to me, but it was some great lines in there. See, I love the story and I love sentences too. So she's, she has some great lines in there, And this is basically about a brother who was wrongfully jailed a month after he got married in the South. It's a black dude, and then his wife basically had to be without a husband within, a month and a half after they married, and she started being involved with this guy that they were offering, they were all college, they all went to Spelman and Morehouse together. They were all cool. And then the guy went to college, went to jail. She started messing with him, and he got out, and then it was I'm telling too much if you want to read it, but.
No, it's a lot of great books out there. It's just we got to find them, right, and get recommended. Because I know I never heard of none of those books, but I'm sure they're great books. So we're definitely recommending them.
Great book. So this is the book I was telling you about: the brief, wondrous life of Oscar Wilde, Hugo Diaz, a Brazilian writer. He's from Jersey, and I related to it being Panamanian, being first generation Panamanian. He's a first generation Dominican. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so and black too,
Right.
So I really related to him being black Latin, growing up in America,
right.
And it was a really dope book.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and then before that one, he wrote a book. He also wrote a book called "This Is How I Lose Her." And this is a really dope book.
It sounds like almost like a romantic comedy, but I'm sure it's not.
Yo, it's dope. It's dope. It's about a character who's basically a womanizer, man. He doesn't want to be. He's a real good dude,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a womanizer. He doesn't want to be, and he gets involved with all these women. And he describes how he loses them.
Oh wow. No, that sounds like a book to read though. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? What's some of the books you read?
So far I just finished the book. I probably took it off of my tablet to be honest with you. Actually, no. Hold on. I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. It's basically about the two teenage girls that got into a riot. Well, they weren't in the riot, but like a riot started happening around their school, and they had to find their way back home. And they're from like different sides of the tracks, and they help each other get home. But the beautiful dynamic is that a white woman wrote from the white protagonist, and a black girl wrote from the black protagonist as they wrote the story together. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, that's dope. To have two authors sit down to like write chapters side by side of like what's going on both their perspectives. I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's dope, yo.
So yeah, it's called I'm Not Down With You Tonight by Kimberly Jones and Gilly Segal. Okay. And then I just read Stephen R. Covey right before that, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Not that I don't have my own good habits. It's more of just sharpening, my tools of mental wherewithal of just being better.
Of course.
So that, and then trying to figure out how to connect the dots, I guess, on social media, just so I'm making sure I'm reaching the right people with my books. So I read a book called Influencer by Brittany Hennessy, which is about Instagram and the different things that the algorithms may look for and stuff like that. So yeah. And I'm about to get into a book called A Long Walk to Water, which is from Linda Sue Park, which I'm not sure, but it's the title grabbed me. So I was like, let me give it a shot. So that's kind of
A Long Walk to Water.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm getting into.
That sounds dope.
But I got a few books I got to send to you, like the ebook, so I could get your opinion before I release them. Because I got a crime series. I got a crime series coming out called Malcolm Evers, which is basically a play off of Medgar Evers. So like, if he had a great grandson, if he lived to like, you know what I mean, like if he didn't get assassinated, if he became a lawyer, I think his great grandkids would become lawyers too. So from that process of thinking, I decided to do a crime series basically about his great grandson trying to like save this kid that like killed 3 white people that were rogue officers that try to like rob his house in the middle of like a suburb or whatever. And like,
that's dope.
So yeah, so that's like one of the like 5 books I have released out of that series next year. So I definitely got to send you the first ebook version of it and get your opinion on it for sure.
Please. Yeah, no doubt, man.
Then I got a few other books coming out too, but we'll talk about that off of.
But you banging them out, man.
I feel like, for me, it's like I'm not writing 80,000 words because I'm still a new author to people, so I don't want to bombard them of not knowing me and then having all these pages of something. So it's like I try to keep it from like 30,000 to 50,000 words. I don't try to overwrite.
That's smart. That's smart. Yeah. And I think people's attention span,
it is until you get respected, right? If they have a respect for you, then they want more. But then it's like you'll just buy the next book. Then you wouldn't care if it's in this book or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's all.
Same thing as music. Yeah. Same thing as music. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Let me get back to my notes because I think I had 1 or 2 more questions before we wrap up.
The time is floating. Gosh, yo.
Yeah, it goes by fast when you're having a good convo. That's what I realized.
My goodness, yo.
So I think one of my questions actually, as I look it up, is more of is there a formula for making a hit? I asked all the people that I know that does music. Is there like a true formula you think to make a hit, or is it a feeling thing for you? In my opinion, there is a formula, but like the formula is not easy if you don't have like a budget, which is more of sample-driven stuff from like 60s and 70s. Sped up for me is the easiest way to make a hit if you're into pure form of hip hop compared to you having to construct an original beat at in this era. But like, I want to know your opinion.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a formula. You have to first of all, yes, there is a formula, and but then executing the formula, that's a whole different thing, right? I think first and foremost, you have to listen to what's popping at the time. That's first and foremost. Like, because what a hit is changes throughout the years. Sometimes it changes year to year. Sometimes in 6 months, it changes. So you have to really pay attention to what is hitting at that moment, if that's what you're interested in.
But I think there's a way to make a formula of like timeless hits of where even if it doesn't hit in that moment, like it's going to still be around for 10 to 15 years. It won't be a moment hit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
see, that's different though.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think that's where samples come in, right? It's like the things you probably heard as a kid that you just sped up a little bit, slightly different with like a verse, maybe a hook here, and kind of keep that going. In my opinion, I could be wrong though.
No, I mean, I see now. I think what you're talking about is lasting, like you said, timeless music, lasting music, something that could hit today, could hit tomorrow.
Right.
And I think, sound wise, old records and some nostalgic sounds, certainly helps to do that. But I think even bigger, more important than that is, what are you talking about in the song? Like, what are you trying to convey? If you're talking about things that are trendy or only important now, then you're dating your music. You're dating it. So it's not going to be relevant. It's not going to hit as hard tomorrow. But if you're covering universal themes, those aren't going anywhere.
Right. Which one is easier for you to do, universal themes or like the right now in the moment? I feel like you do much more universal from what I've heard from you.
Yeah. I would say, both are, easy and hard, it all depends on, the day. But my preference is to do the universal stuff, is to do, because really, I have an eagerness to connect with people, connect with all kind of people. And art is a great way to do that. So I try to start a dialogue about, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm experiencing. This is what I'm seeing and thinking. What about you?
Right. And I think what helps too is that since you're an independent artist, you're playing the catalog game more than I think just the one album today, like, and hopefully it goes well. So it's
absolutely.
Yeah, like we're playing the same game since we're both independent in our art. So like, it's like I have to put out 14 books. We got to like 5. I'll do it. It is what it is.
And that's real.
And I feel like that's kind of like the game you're playing too, right? It's like,
it's true.
Your catalog will keep you afloat more than just one album or one song kind of thing. So
man, it all contributes to your brand, each project, and then you also give yourself more of a chance to
be seen.
Not only now, but
5 to 10 years, whatever.
10 years. I had one producer guy I know in the UK. He did a song, I want to say 15 years ago. A movie, a small production company in Washington, D.C. got in contact with him in the UK, said they wanted to use it or use a portion of it, and he made he got a nice check from that.
Right.
15 years after the fact.
Right. Are you getting some of those calls now for movie clearances and things like that as an indie?
No, not yet, man. Not yet. I had one guy who used one of my songs, "Beautiful Life," off the Rise and Fall. I just did it off the strength. He was an independent artist, He didn't really have a lot. I was, I was honored that he wanted to use the song, and the way he came to me, I was like, yo, just use it, man. You know what I'm saying? But no, I can't say all the licensing deals have rolled in yet. Hopefully that'll come.
No, I think it's going to happen because now content's becoming more king, but like the budgets are going to be different for everyone. So I think it's definitely going to come.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true, and I'm a firm believer in just don't stop working. Just keep putting quality stuff out.
So before we wrap, I want to know, I guess, where can everyone find you? When's your next project coming out, and where will they be able to find that? Is that like on all DSPs or digital streaming platforms, or?
Yeah, so I'm working on the next album now. I'm about 80% done with it. It'll be everywhere, all the digital platforms, everywhere. We'll probably press up, some physical products too for the heads,
Okay.
some vinyls and stuff like that.
This is coming out in March, so if it's a little bit past that, that's fine. I just want you to know that this podcast is coming out.
It's coming out in March. Okay, so this is So I don't have a release date for the new album yet. I'm in the, like I said, I'm working really, really hard on it, and I'm really excited about it. So I anticipate it coming out within the first half of 2021. I would say within the first
second to third quarter, possibly.
Hopefully second. Hopefully second. But then also you have.
I just want to give you a little bit more room just in case.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. But then you have to build a campaign around it, so that takes time.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
So I work with some good PR people, and they do a whole thing before 3 months before the album even touches ground.
Oh wow.
So,
yeah, you see, that's where I'm missing is like connect the certain dots of having a PR person. Like, I guess things that cost more money, I haven't gotten to yet.
That's what I'm saying. No, with the rise and fall. Yeah, I mean, I've used some really big PR agencies who's really helped me, UK based, and I still work with them. I worked with them on the last album too, and they're great. It costs.
So do you do much better in the UK than the States, or is it kind of on par?
Absolutely. Like the UK is where
your bread and butter is. Yeah.
They got me first, and mainly because of Lewis. Lewis is from there, so when we put
of
out that
course.
record, and his name was attached on there.
Are you having some more songs with Lewis coming up, or not at this particular moment?
We haven't planned so yet. I would love to do something with LP in the future. It's interesting though, through him and because of me, being over there so much, I've developed a bunch of relationships with other UK producers, people that he's worked with, people that he came up with. So I would say this album now I'm working with a US producer. And that's probably been the first time in a while. 90% of the people I work with are from the UK.
Wow.
Yeah, just from me building relationships out there.
Okay, so album possibly second quarter sometime.
Yeah, second quarter.
Where can everyone reach you and send you messages if they like your music and things like that?
Yeah, so Instagram's probably the best, you know what I'm saying? River Nelson, you know what I'm saying? Like Instagram, River Nelson, @Rivnell, Twitter, River Nelson, Facebook, you know what I'm saying? SoundCloud, you can hit me there. You can check, as a matter of fact, I have all of my albums. Do I have all of my albums? I believe I have all of my albums, most of my albums on SoundCloud to be streamed for free. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's very kind of you.
For now, it's not going to be up there forever. So,
I got your music off iTunes. So if you want to support, if you already have the money that you're paying for those streaming services, go to Apple Music, go to Spotify, and it doesn't hurt.
I'm sure by the time this comes out, those songs won't be on there. So,
all right, so makes sense.
Yeah. So, it'll be everywhere, man, and I'm just really excited about it. This is also the first time I purchased some equipment because of the pandemic. So this is the first time I'm doing everything at the crib.
Which must be fun for you, right? It's like, I'm saving 2 hours of not being in traffic.
I love it, man. Like I said, I was talking about in the beginning how it's hard to sleep, when I know I'm creative. I know when I get up, I can write it, I can record it. I got all these ideas. I can, I got Pro Tools now. So I'm learning how to mix. I'm learning how to do all of these things.
So that must be beautiful for your independent budget too, right? It's like less money coming out of.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, less money, the equipment I bought already paid for itself.
Right.
Stuff I used to hire people for, I'm doing as far as editing and all of that.
Well, you created time for yourself now, right?
Yeah,
with buying that equipment.
Absolutely.
And as an independent, I try to tell people that's probably your multi-point asset until the funds come in where you can allocate money to other people to take things off your plate is your time. So
no, it's real, man. Like what you need, that new David Linktree talking about earlier, he was saying like you need a setup. Every creative needs a setup. Something that when they have an idea,
they can go right to it.
They can go right to it. I agree.
That's very
important,
we have a desk right now, right? Because of me being a writer. If not, I wouldn't think of getting a desk, right?
It's
So
important.
that makes sense.
It's important, man. No, it's important, and so yeah, man, I'm excited about it, man. I can't wait to get it to the people. I think so far it's my best work, man.
No, I can't wait to support it and listen to it.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah.
So usually we do quote of the week and lyrics of the week. I don't know if you have some lyrics you might want to share of like maybe Japanese proverbs, but
yeah, Japanese proverb.
like a 4-8 bar. You don't gotta be the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel like it's what. If you find something more impactful, if not, I have lyrics here just in case.
Yeah, no, I have to recall some of the lyrics. Give me some of the bars of Japanese proverbs.
I actually wrote down
whatever bars you have.
I actually wrote down one of your favorite artists that I've done research on that you said De La Soul was like a big inspiration for you because they're from my hometown.
Absolutely.
So I wrote them down just in case you didn't have it off the top of your head. But if you have anything that you want to share of any of your songs.
Yeah. So
I like to think of lyrics that are meaningful and impactful from like a lot of different artists. I just want you to share maybe like a few of the lines that you was like, this was impactful, I think.
Yeah, I have so many. So I'm just as you're talking, I'm just combing through.
No, of course. So I'm
5 albums. There's so many lyrics. Even Japanese proverb.
Yeah, because you're just straight barring in there. I don't even think there's a hook really. It's just straight bars.
Yeah. Oh, man, you about to make me.
I'm sorry.
Pull something up here, brother. Hold on, brother. Hold on. So I'm gonna take Japanese. Just grab a few lines from Japanese proverb, which is off the PRJ album, Power Resilience and Joy. It came out in 2019. All right. So the hook basically is I fell down 9 times and I got up 10. All right. So it's basically in a Japanese proverb, and that's really a Japanese proverb. A Japanese proverb, I'm paraphrasing, but they basically say, I believe it's for every 5 times you get up 6. It's a different number that they use, but it's but I got the number from Japanese proverb. And which is really supports the concept of resilience on the album. Being resilient and no matter how many times you lose, you get up, you keep swinging.
Well, they do line structure like haiku. It almost seems like, right? If you do all the words together, I think it's like 5 and 6. So I think
I think it's 5 and 6. Yeah.
If you get up, like I think it's 5. Yeah,
it is 5 and 6. I believe it's 5 and 6. So all right, so that's I read that somewhere, and I thought that was that's something that I go by. So I thought it was a great thing to write about. So the first all right. So the first line is on the song is today. All right, so I'm just taking it line by line. Today my day went smoothly, but my night was all wrinkled up, right? So that is that is basically documentation. I'm documenting basically the trials of a day, of a week, of a lifetime, you know what I'm saying? And how it's necessary to push through, So it's like, the day went smooth, but my night was all wrinkled up, twisted up. I got it wrinkled up. Yeah, I'm just listening to the song. Yeah. So basically, it's really a song about perseverance, and battling through anything that's trying to hold you back. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. So thank you for. Unless you got more of the lyrics you want to share.
Just listen. Is anything? It's bad because I write so much, man, and I'm so immersed in this new project.
No, that's how I
haven't,
felt when people ask me about certain books that I've written years ago. It's like I'm on so many other characters, different plots that
Yeah,
it takes a while for things to come back to me. So no, I totally
yeah.
get that. So no worries. Let me just give out the quote of the week and we'll close out. So the quote of the week is from Maya Angelou. Everything in the universe has a rhythm and everything dances. So that's, I thought that was fitting for you being a musician and you know how the world is your oyster when it comes to creating. So
Yeah, brother. Yeah, man. That's a dope quote, man. And I just want to say that I'm proud of you, man. You know,
oh,
and
thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm super proud of you, man. And I've been watching you from the beginning. The first time I heard you was a writer. I paid attention to you because
Appreciate that.
um, I feel like I have an ally in this creative battle.
Wow, of course. Got to. It's the only way to do it.
And just know that anything you need, anything I can help you with, including your podcast or just anything, your contacts, anything, you just let me know.
I appreciate that. So I want to thank River Nelson for joining us today. And this is Americana Quill, writer to writer. Y'all take care.
Yeah. Much love, y'all. Peace.